Jai Hind everyone. My name is Mamta Pant and I'm working as an assistant professor in IT department of Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College, Ghaziabad. Today we are going to discuss Unit 1 Part 2. In first video lecture of data analytics, we have discussed something about the data, some techniques we use in data analytics, all about the data basically. And in this part, we are going to discuss about the data analytics, its evaluation, its analytical scalability, and this process. So let's start it. So first of all, we need to understand what is data analytics. Analytics is the tools basically used for analysis of data. So analytics is the systematic computation analysis of data or statistics. Basically, the tools we are used in data analysis process is known as the data analytics. Okay. Now it is used for discovery, interpretation, and communication of meaningful patterns or trends. Basically, data analytics is used for the discovery and interpretation or communication of meaningful patterns, trends which are going into the market or which was running into the market. It is also imposed applying data patterns toward effective decision makings. If we are able to know the patterns or trends in the market, then it will ease for us to take a good decision for our future work, future scope. Okay. So this is the data analytics. Now, what is the need of data analytics? Why we have to study this data analytics in the ongoing session? So just because of the data analytics, we can gain greater insight into the target market. Basically, with the help of data analytic process, we may need to know that what is trend is going into the market, what the pattern following by the customer. So we can get a great depth into the target market. Next, when we gain greater insight into the target market, it will ease for us to take decisions. It will enhance our decision-making capabilities. Next, it will create targeted strategy and market campaign depending upon the trends or patterns we find. Depending upon that trends, we can make the strategies or market campaign to improve our sales. Next, improve operational inefficiencies and minimize risks. If we take a good decision, that the risk will be minimized. Next, identify new product and service opportunity. If we may get to know the demand of the customer, then on the basis of the demand of the customer, we can easily identify if we have to launch the new product or new services or new opportunity to the target market. So with the help of data analytics, we can achieve all these things. So that's why we need the data analytics. Now the topic comes evolution of analytic scalability. What is the evolution of analytic scalability? The amount of data, organization, process continue to increase. So in the ongoing era, the amount of data is increases day by day, minute by minute, second by seconds. For instance, it is estimated that Walnut collect more than 2.5 petabytes of data every hour from its customer transaction. In every hour we can collect 2.5 petabytes of data. It is the estimated data of Walmart collects. Okay, so you can imagine that in a day of 24 hours, how many data will be collected from Walmart and how many data will be collected from all the different sources. So 1 petabyte is 1 quadrant bytes and or the equivalent of about 20 million filing cabinet worth of the text. In the same way, an exabyte is 1000 times that amount or 1 billion gigabytes. Okay, so the old method that we use for handling data would not work anymore in such kind of data. So hence, we need technology that might handle the big data. So that's why evolution of analytical scalability comes into the picture. So few of such are below, but there are many more. Here are some methods or techniques used for the data analytics for handling the big data, but there are many more techniques which are coming into the new era. So first one is a grid technology, Hadoop, MPP architecture, that is massive parallel programming. Next one is a cloud computing. MapReduce is also part of this. Apache, Spark, all of these is the part of these technologies. So before going ahead, we must be aware of how analytics and data environment converge together for making big data analytics more effective. So here is the convergence of analytics and data environment. First one is the we will study about the traditional analytic architecture. Next, we will go for modern in database architecture. Next is your parallel programming, that is MPP, and important from the exam point of view. Next is your cloud computing, then grid computing, and then MapReduce. So let's take them one by one. Okay, so this is first one is your traditional analytic architecture. In traditional analytics, collect data from heterogeneous data sources, and we had to pull all data together into a separate analytics environment to do analysis, which can be an analytical server or a personal computer with more computing capabilities. So what we do in the traditional environment, and furthermore, the heavy processing occurs in analytic environment as shown in the figure. So this is the figure for traditional analytic architecture. This is the convergence of the analytic and data environment. Okay, what is happening here? We have to collect data from the different sources. For database 1, database 2, 3 and 4. We have 4 different sources. We have to collect the data from different sources. We have to put the data into the databases, and then we had to pull all the data together into the separate analytics environment to do the analytics. So this system is work as an analytical server here. So until and unless we have a limited amount of data, then this traditional analytical architecture is more than sufficient to process or do the analysis of the data. But while the term converted from data to big data, whenever term is converted from data to big data, then this analytical server processor will say that I cannot handle this big amount of data. You need to do furthermore to improve your analytic process. So basically, in such environment, shipping of data becomes a must, which might result in issue related with the security of data and its confidentiality. So in case of big data, this traditional analytical system will not work at all. We need to go further to decide which kind of tool or process we have to follow for data analytics. So next will come modern in database architecture. This is an improvement version of traditional data analytics architecture. What we have to do here, data from heterogeneous sources are collected, transformed and loaded into the data warehouse for final analysis by decision maker. Next, the process stay in the database where the data has been consolidated. What is the meaning of consolidated? We will see in the figure. Next one, the data is presented in aggregated form for querying. Querying from the user are submitted to OLAP, that is Online Analytical Processing Engine, for execution. This is the database used to store of real-time data. Next, in such database architecture are tested for their query throughput rather than transaction throughput. This is basically work on the query throughput, not on the transactional throughput as in traditional database environment. More of metadata is required for directing the queries, which help in reducing the time taken for answering queries and hence increase the query throughput. Just because we are working on the query, so this will increase our query throughput, not the transaction throughput. Moreover, the data is consolidated form are free from anomalies. Anomalies like insertion anomalies, updation anomalies, deletion anomalies, all these anomalies or problems are free in this architecture since they are pre-processed before loading into the warehouse, which may be used directly from the analysis. So this is the figure for modern in database architecture. What we have to do here, data from the different heterogeneous sources are collected, like database 1. This is same as we do in the traditional database, but after the collection of all these things, we have to put all data in a different server. In this server, we have to clean the data, we have to remove the duplicacy of the data, we have to do some analytic process there. Then after the cleaning or removing impurities from the data, we have to put this data into the consolidated data enterprises data warehouse or EDW. So this enterprise data warehouse contain data which is pure, which do not have any redundancy, which do not have any duplicacy, and which is in the very correct form and in structured form. So here we have very structured, well managed and clean data in enterprise data warehouses. Then any analytical server search for the submit a request to this enterprise data warehouse, and from here data analytic process is done and helps to find out the trend and pattern into the market. So this is how modern in database architecture will work. Next one is your massively parallel processing. In the previous two architecture, we have noticed that only a single processor or a single database, single place is used for doing the work. But here in massive parallel processing system, we have changed the idea. In massive parallel processing is shared nothing approach of parallel computing. This is work on the parallel computing. It is a type of computing where in process is being done by many CPUs working in parallel, to execute a single program. One of the most significant difference between a symmetric multiprocessing SMP and massive parallel processing is that with massive parallel processing, each of many CPUs has its own memory to assist in preventing a possible hold-up that the user may experience with using SMP when all of the CPU attempt to access the memory simultaneously. There are some silent features which we use, which follow the MPP, that is massive parallel processing. First one is loosely coupled nodes are there. Nodes linked together by a high-speed connection, internet connection, basically we can say. Each node has its own memory. Every one node has its own memory, so there is no need of the space. Next, disks are not shared, each being attached to only one node, shared nothing architecture. Here is the diagram of massive parallel processing system. Here, from high-speed connection, we can get data from different or heterogeneous sources. Then these data should be collected into the different nodes. We have to divide it into different nodes. Then these nodes are also further subdivided into the local disk. Now, this is the processing of massive parallel processing system. This data is divided into different nodes. Then this node is further divided and processing is done at this level. Now, at the end, we combine all the data analytics process or result to get the result at the very end. So this is the massive parallel processing architecture and execution of its task. The idea behind MPP is really just that of the general parallel computing as shown in the last figure, where in the simultaneous execution of some combination of multiple instances of programmed instructions and data on multiple processors in such a way that the result can be obtained more effectively. MPP uses shared distributed lock manager to maintain the integrity of distributed resources across the system. CPU power that can be made available in a MPP is dependent upon number of nodes that can be connected. MPP system built in redundancy to make recovery very easy. And last one, MPP system have resource management tools to manage the CPU and disk space and query optimization. The next one is your cloud computing. You have already heard about the cloud. What is the cloud? What is cloud computing? What is the space in this cloud? So cloud computing is the delivery of computing services over the internet. Cloud services allow individuals and businesses to use software and hardware that are managed by third party at remote locations. So basically this is the key point of the cloud computing, that they are managed by the third party at the remote location. Example of cloud services include online file storage, social networking site, webmail, online business application, and so on. The cloud computing model allow access to information and computer resources from anywhere that a network connection is available. Cloud computing provide a shared pool of resources including data storage space, networks, computer processing power, and specialized corporate and user applications. So McKinsey and Company in the paper Clearing Air on Cloud Computing in March 2009 has indicated the following as characteristics features of the cloud. First one is mask the underlying infrastructure from the user. Second one, be elastic to the scale on demand, pay per use basis. Next one, National Institute of Standard and Technology on-demand self-services, broad network accesses, resource pooling, rapid elasticity, and last one is the measured services. So these all are the characteristics of the cloud computing. Next, there are two types of cloud environment. First one is your public and second one is your private. What is public cloud? The service and infrastructure are provided off-site on the internet. This is called public cloud, and greatest level of efficiency in shared resources, and less secured and more vulnerable than private clouds. This is very less secure and vulnerable to the attacks rather than private clouds. And what is happening in the private cloud? Infrastructure operated solely for a single organization. The same features is on the public cloud. Offer the greatest levels of security and control. This is the very less vulnerable, necessary to purchase and on the entire cloud infrastructure in case of public cloud. Next and last one is your grid computing. Grid computing is a form of distributed computing whereby a super and virtual computer is composed of a cluster of network loosely coupled computer acting in a concern to perform very large task. Here we have, if we have a very large amount of tasks, we have to distribute it into a different nodes which are loosely coupled computers. In grid computing is a growing technology that facilitates the execution of large scale resource intensive application, geographically distributed computing and resources. Now, facilitates flexible, secure, coordinated large scale resource sharing among dynamic collection of individual institutions and resources. So this is the architecture of grid computing. Here we have database, PC, laptop, supercomputer, different resources have their different capabilities. We have to combine their capabilities and do a large task dividedly, distributedly. So this is the working of grid computer. Here is the user Java client. Here we have different resources and we have to perform the task differently, and then we have to combine after executing on the grid node. So next one is the last one is your MapReduce. What is MapReduce? Hadoop MapReduce is a software framework for easily writing application which process vast amount of data like multi-terabyte data sets in parallel on large clusters, thousands of nodes of commodity hardware in a reliable, fault-tolerant manner. A MapReduce job usually split the input data set into independent chunks which are processed by the map task in a completely parallel manner. The framework shows the output of the map which are the input to the reduced task. Typically, both input and output of the jobs are stored in a file system. Basically, a MapReduce job usually split the input data set into independent chunks which are processed by the map task in a completely manner. So basically, we have to go for its working. This is the working of MapReduce. Basically, we have to distribute a terabyte of each of 20 nodes using a simple file copy process. Then submit two program, that is first one is your map, second one is your reduce to the scheduler. The map program find the data on disk and execute the logic it contains. Okay, the last one, the result of the map step are then passed to the reduce function to summarize and aggregate the final answer. So this is the diagram of working of MapReduce. Here we have to put all the, first of all we have to divide data. This is the big data. We have a chunks of data. We have to divide this data and give it to the different map functions. Suppose here we are using 3 map functions. So we are divided our data into the 3 different categories and we have to apply them onto the map function. Then after mapping it, we have to pass this data through the reduce function. Reduce function basically summarize the data on the basis of some similarities, some duplications. So it will reduce our data and summarize or aggregate our data. Then this reduce function tells the patterns which they recognize into our data so that we can find out the patterns in our data. So this is the working of MapReduce. So basically this is the algorithm or can say step which MapReduce basically used to follow. So this finally in the real world we find new technology and can generate and work together for adding big data analytics. So some of them are database running in the cloud. For example, SimpleDB Microsoft SQL Azure. Second one is your database including MapReduce functionality. For example, Terabyte, Esther or Oracle. Next, MapReduce can be run against data sources from a dataset. For example, CouchDB. For example, Couch or MongoDB. Next, MapReduce can also run against data in the cloud. For example, Cloud MapReduce. So these are the functionality. These are the basic big data analytics which we use in the form of MapReduce. So that's all for today. Thank you so much.